Now I'm going to say something else. Ready? 13% of the general public commit suicide. It increases to 1.7 with police officers. Let me put that in context, because even just saying it like that is kind of skewed. 13% of police officers, or 13% of the general public, actually commit suicide. When you then put that number with the number of police officers, you're looking at almost 15% of police officers die by suicide. So it's a higher number of police officers that are dying by suicide than it is in the general public. The highest are California, Florida, Texas, and New York. Remember that list from earlier where I talked about the protection states, the high ones? California, New York, and what was the other one? Chicago. California and New York are in the highest suicide rates as well. Police officers are more likely to die by suicide than they are by being in the line of duty. I'm going to say that one more time. Police officers are more likely to die by suicide than they are to die in the line of duty. Yet, they tell you, the police officer, everyone else is the criminal. Everyone else is scary. Everyone else is trying to hurt you. When in fact, their trained attack dog is hurting themselves. Their trained attack dog is a bigger threat to himself because of issues of mental health. Why are they paying for you to continue putting yourself in jeopardy? Creating the fact that everyone that you deal with, you know what? Let me back it up just one little tad. I did a video on another channel about a week ago. I spoke about energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It can only be transferred from one place to another, and that source has to be an outside source from where it's at. Police officers encounter people every day, and we're in that energy, we're in that feeling stage of this United States. We feel everything. Now, we understand that the greatest battery or the greatest energy source are the people. 95% of those people that you are encountering are negative. I can't think of a positive police encounter. Not one. But here's what I want you to understand. You're picking up a little bit from those people every time you encounter someone negative. You're grabbing a little bit of that negative energy and you're taking it with you. From stop to stop to stop. Some 8, some 15, some 14, some 16 hours. You're taking all of that negative energy and there's no place to get rid of it. You have no idea how to get rid of it. You have no source, no training, no function on getting rid of it. You're doing that 4, 5, 6, 7 times a week. Just build up after build up after build up after build up. And all that negative energy comes to a point of explosion. It may be an explosion on a suspect, which the police union wants you to keep doing. It may be an explosion on your spouse, which the police union is not caring too much about you doing it, as long as they can stop it being reported and you continue doing what they want you to do. They don't care that you're eating your gun, that you're angry doing this job. They just want you doing the job. They don't care about your mental state. Show you how much they don't care. Because again, men lie, women lie, numbers don't. The problem I wrote this question down. It's kind of funny to me. Why aren't they trained to deal with their mental health issues? They're trained to use their gun. They're shot by a taser. They must be pepper sprayed to carry pepper spray. They must be maced to carry mace, but they're not trained to be shot. Now, the question is, if the brain remembers two things, pleasure and pain. Pain restricts the body from acting. The one thing that's their one lethal weapon, why are they not trained? Why are they not given pain from that lethal weapon? They're given pain from the hand-to-hand combat. They're given pain from that pepper spray. They're given pain from that mace. They're getting pain from that taser. You know, the things that they're rarely seen using. Yeah, I actually paused for dramatic effect on that one because I want you to understand the context of what I'm giving this to you at. You're trained on everything else except that gun. You're trained just to shoot it. You're trained that everything that's in front of you is a threat. You're trained to eliminate that threat. But nobody's training you on how to release what happens after that threat is eliminated. Nobody's training you on what to do after your shift is over. Because most people, most police officers, what do they do? Oh, I'm going down to the cop bar to suck down a depressant, to give me a little bit of liquid courage. You know, that's why cops are often done in, bar fights. That's why you see a lot of these off-duty officers pulling the gun out on regular citizens. Here's what I want you. I want it to sink in just a little bit. You ready? They're taught to fear the public hurting them instead of offering continuous options to protect themselves from themselves. The police unions aren't lobbying for better educated cops or better education with the police that they have or have incoming. Yeah, because I'm actually going to do the story of the Georgia 106 class where 33 of the 36 graduates were caught cheating. And Georgia rehired 24 of them. So 24 people that couldn't pass a test is now on the road to set up something that's supposed to be a crime because they don't know what it is. Tommy Sotomayor. Police officers who don't know law. Police character on trial. The fact that they were brought up in a cheating scandal regarding their job. Understand these things. These are things that you can use that are weaponizing your defense. Understand this is not just something that you're going to just use now. It's going to be something that comes in greater, hotter, whatever you like to call it, but it's going to be something different for you. Several studies. The IQ below 110, because again, we did, was that Jordan B. Prince. Talked about the IQ levels of police officers. IQ below 110 offered a higher rate of being prone to violence. Yes, I paused for dramatic effect because I want you to catch that one. If I tell you that the majority of police officers have an IQ lower than 110, and I then tell you the psychological studies show that those with IQs lower than 110 are prone to violence. I then tell you that the police officers have the highest rate of domestic violence, the highest rate of suicide. I can go through this. At some point, does it stick? At some point, do you see what it is I see? Because yes, I give you pieces. And then I come back later and I show you how those pieces go together. Because the one thing I did, my father was a contractor. He was a construction guy. The one thing he told me was the most important thing of any building, any structure, was the foundation. A lot of times you had to work on a foundation several times before you can actually get it to erect anything. Whether it's a statue, whether it's just even pouring the slab. You have to get and make adjustments to the foundation first. The foundation has to be sturdy. The foundation has to be level. The foundation has to be pristine in order for anything to be built upon it. That's why I'm giving it to you piece by piece. Because if I try to give you the entire foundation at one time, there's nothing that you can do to erect it straight or properly. Now, when we looked at those same studies, those that had an IQ higher than 110 had a lower rate, or as they would call a medium rate. But those that had an IQ between 120 and 130, which are those that are generally, you wouldn't call them technically intellects, but you would look at them in jobs that require them being meticulous. Those jobs, or those people, were in the almost least likely to be prone to violence, as well as the rate. You compare those two groups, below 110 and within the range of 120 and 130, there were signs of almost doubling the amount of violence exhilarated or illustrated by those with the IQ below 110. When you're talking about that transfer of energy, if 95% of the people that you come in contact with are in a hyper state, you get that energy. There was a movie called Falling, and the means of how this energy went around was it had to touch you. Had to touch this, and it transferred just by the touch. Energy works that exact same way. Energy comes out and through the contact. Now, when we're talking about the police, mental health, we're talking about the low education or low IQ levels. We're talking about these things because, again, I love to throw up Jordan B. Prince, because at the end of the day, these are not my words. Yes, I'm saying them, but these are things that are etched in the Supreme Court. I don't have to like it. It is what it is. But at the end of the day, it doesn't change this ruling. We're militarizing the violent, unintelligent individuals and protecting impulsive behavior through the police unions. They're putting $500,000 to the sitting party annually, but they're coming to the table with $10 million in funding every year for that sitting party to stop police reform, to stop police sentencing. Why is that? They won't even spend a tenth of that on a police officer's mental health. I'm going to get into that number exactly in just a few minutes. Ready? They won't put 10% of that on what is spent to put them in the line of fire to protect their mental health. They're actually spending over $100 million per year to allow the wrong behavior of police unions or police actors. Those that are being police officers right now are pocketing portions of that $100 million every year to perpetuate wrong behavior. And the police unions are not only backing it, they're funding it. We just have to accept it as it is. Now, when I talked about the 10th, so we see the 10 million, we see the 100 million, so let's call it 110 million in total. They're putting up $7 million for police mental health annually. 100 million to protect the police, 10 million to the sitting party, 110 million to allow them to continue behaving in the manner that they're behaving. They then put up 7 million for the police mental health. They're being trained. They're being punished for doing what they're trained to do. They tell them that the issue is the community. They tell them that you must follow this blue wall code of silence. Back to blue. But they're telling you, and what they're telling you is hurting you more than it's helping you. I'm going to say that one more time. What they're telling you is hurting you more than it's helping you. And yes, you can back the blue. You can shooby-de-doo. At the end of the day, you are the one that's suffering from it. Because if I'm teaching someone to sue a police officer for their wrong behavior, and I'm suing them in their personal capacity, the union isn't going to stop that action. Because you're no longer the union's problem. If the union's not invested in your mental health to make sure you're able to dispel all the energy that you're getting in every day, at least not as much as they are in your continued bad behavior. When you become an issue, you're no longer part of the solution for them. Understand that, because every day they have a large pool to pick from. You remember the Kennedy speech in 1968? You remember Jay-Z? I dumbed down for my audience and doubled my dollars. Kennedy spoke about taking education from the children because they're easier to control when they're not intelligent. When you take away their ability to fight back. Understand, you are expendable when you become a problem. But I'm the bad guy for letting you know that the problem exists. I'm the bad guy that shows you where the loopholes are. I'm that bad guy for telling you to do your job properly. And the problem is you have no idea what your job is. And the police union is okay with that. Because when I ask you to do it the right way, I'm the problem. You've actually been, throw out a name, just start name calling. Yeah, that's generally what happens when you're unable to articulate anything. You go to name calling. Doesn't change any of the facts, but the name calling makes you feel good. I guess we're going in closing, because you see I'm closing the book. At some point, we're going to have to address the actual problems or issues of this country. Not only does it start with the police encounters, it concludes with the police unions. It concludes with us. We are the alphas and omegas of our own destiny and future and our current present. We have to make a decision that this current way or state of being is not proper, and we're no longer going to accept it. Because the longer we accept it, the longer it's going to continue. And the longer it continues, the more detrimental it becomes. These corrections aren't going to be done through talking, not going to be done through wishing. It's going to be done through action. You're going to have to stand up. You know, I'm not going to do the Tupac today, but understand, a man who stands for nothing will fall for anything. If you choose to allow bad behavior, you're part of the problem.